Hey everybody, Teresa here from Inspiration Cards, and I'm back with our last card for this month's Stamp Jammies online card class featuring the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. I hope you've been enjoying the cards, and I hope that you'll like this last one that I have to share with you today. So let's get started. So here's this week's card and our last card for this month featuring the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. I hope you've been enjoying following along. This is a nice simple one featuring some of the designer series paper from the Dandy Garden 6x6 pack. What you'll need for this week's card are your large piece of basic white cardstock. You'll also have two smaller pieces of cardstock, one Blackberry Bliss and one more of the basic white. And then you'll notice that I punched out a number of the dragonflies from one of the pieces of designer series paper from the from the Dandy Garden designer series paper pack. This I did with the coordinating punch that goes with the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. So let's just set these aside for a minute. And to kick us off, as always, I'm going to start with folding our card base in half. Now, I'm going to use my bone folder to get that nice, crisp, clean fold. There we go. And before I set that aside, I'm just going to put a little phrase in the bottom right corner. I'm going to use the "For a True Friend," just like I did on the one I showed you. You can pick any phrase that you like. You also, if you want, can add a little something on the inside as well, whether it's a phrase or maybe you want to add in the little bunch of dragonflies on the inside of the card just to carry over the theme to the inside as well. I'm just going to stamp on the outside for now. So there, just gently tapping onto the ink pad and then right down in that bottom corner. So there we go. So nice and simple, not a lot of stamping for this card today, but I do want to give this some time to dry, so I'm going to set that aside and bring in my other pieces. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to adhere the pieces of Blackberry Bliss and basic white cardstock together. So whether you use Stamp and Seal like I'm using, or whatever your go-to adhesive is when you're doing these projects. There we go. You want to center that as best you can so you can get that nice even border of Blackberry Bliss around the edges of your basic white. All right, and so now we're going to add in our dragonflies. Now I'm not going to attach it yet, but just to give me an idea of where I want my dragonflies to go, because I do want them to overlap from this piece just a little bit. So this should be dry enough that it shouldn't be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this guy here, and he's going to go on in the bottom right. So now you can see why I wanted to add in, not adhere, but just kind of lay it on top. So that way I don't accidentally run off the card base. And you can mix up the colors and dragonflies however you like. The idea is just to have them kind of randomly on the card. Go. So different positions, different angles, whatever you kind of like. There we go. And for our little guys here, I'm actually going to be using a few of the glue dots because these guys are pretty tiny. All right, so I've got my big guys in place, so I don't really need to worry about these guys running off my card base. Although if you wanted to put it around the edge, the very edge of your card base, then you might want to add this on first. All right, so I'm just going to peel the back off my glue dot here. And this guy's going to go up in the top corner. There we go. And the spatula tool from the Take Your Pick tool really, I find helps get those glue dots where I want them instead of sticking to my fingers. I don't know if that happens to you, but I definitely was glad when they came out with this, because that was definitely something I ran into a lot of. All right, so here's our last little glue dot. So one more time, just going to peel that off the back. And he's going to go just right there. There we go. And to add this onto our card base, we're going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. So when I do this, I usually add to each of the 4 corners. And then depending on the size, I might add one in the center. And this one is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to add one more in the center. And then just like with the glue dots, you just want to peel the paper off the back of your dimensionals. There we go. All right, so let's bring our basic white card base back in. There we go. And just as best as you can, centering it. Again, keeping in mind where you've got your stamped phrase and making sure your dragonflies don't go running off the outside of your card base. Now, to add one more piece to this, although you could leave it here, I often like to add a little bit of bling to my cards. So I'm just going to add 3 of the smallest rhinestone basic jewels. And again, I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool and the spatula, there we go, spatula end here. There we go. Some people like to use the paper piercing end with their jewels. So whichever one kind of works best for you. I tend to like this end here. So let's just shuffle that over a little bit. So you get some nice even spacing between your rhinestones. And there we go. Thanks so much for joining me this month for my Stampin' Jammies online card class featuring the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. I hope you've enjoyed the cards. And if you have, make sure to like and share these videos. I'll be back next month with the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set for my Stampin' Jammies card class. If you missed out on registering for the full class kit, which would have included the stamp set along with some Sand and Sea Designer Series paper, no worries. You'll still be able to sign up for just $25 to get all of the card supplies you'd need, along with shipping anywhere in Canada, so you can follow along next month. If you live outside of Canada, don't worry, we just need to add a little extra to cover the extra shipping, and you can follow along as well. I'm going to be taking a break for July and August, but I will be back in the month of September, and I'm going to be featuring the Quiet Meadow stamp set from the new annual catalog. So there's plenty of time to sign up for the full class kit, which includes the Quiet Meadow stamp set, along with some coordinating designer series paper and all the supplies that you'll need to make all 4 cards in September. I hope you'll join me then. And in the meantime, you can check out my other projects on my blog at inkspirationcards.com or on my Facebook page at Inkspiration Cards. And if you ever have any questions, you can always shoot me an email at inkspirationwiththeresa@gmail.com. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. We'll see you soon.